Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's gooder than grits, and he's country as cornflakes to be from the coast. I promise you that. Uh, Let me get us started, or we're just going to sit here and bullshit all night. I want us to bullshit after I do the intro. How's that sound?
There
Intro.
you go.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Getting 10-8. And with me is Mike Pontius. Mike was not able to join us in the last podcast. He is, sir, not appearing in this podcast from number 4. Number 5, he is with us in the flesh. And we have a new guest here tonight that is representing firefighters, and that is Mr. Cody Martin. Cody, we're going to get to an introduction of you, but Cody has worked with the volunteer fire service, Mike, so he wasn't doing this for money. Of course, the guys that were doing it for money weren't really doing it for money either.
No, they weren't.
to hear Bud McMahon talk about it. But Cody, how old were you when you started volunteering?
I'd say it was the fall of '04, so I was just started in college.
Damn.
So that would be, see, I'm 39 now, so that's right at this year makes 21 years.
21 years dealing with structure fires. And
Yes, sir.
And the volunteer service, what a lot of people that, that if y'all are watching this from around the country and you're in a big municipality, like if you're in New York, you're probably going, what are they talking about? A volunteer fire department, or however they talk up there.
Well, that's what they have up there. Volunteer everywhere.
Up in New York City?
Outside of the big cities, all the rural areas are volunteer.
Okay. Well, that's what, you have to have a special place in your heart to be able to do that. So what got you drawn into it, Cody, if you don't mind me asking?
I just, some of the older guys in the community, just being around them and, seeing them and hearing from them that they needed help. And, I have papers from whenever I was in kindergarten that Mama saved for me that I wrote that I always wanted to be a firefighter.
That's awesome.
And, but I was always on the bigger side. So, I probably couldn't pass all the PT tests and all that. But, I always wanted to be a firefighter. I've always loved fire. And even when I was at Jones, I went through the forestry class and burning and prescribed burning. And I just always loved fire and watching it and watching how it acts, watching it eat. And it's something I've always enjoyed. And I like helping people.
That's one of the things.
Hey, Robbie, hold on. I love fire too, but if somebody ever says I burn my house down, they're full of shit, because I got to have a propane torch and 3 strikes of a match to burn anything. So I love fire as well. I like watching stuff burn, but if you told me I was going to try to set my house on fire, it's a lie.
You are no arsonist, Mike.
Absolutely not.
Well, that's one of the things that I was going to kind of talk about was, you talk about you like fire and you like watching it eat. That's a lot of firefighters have that fire bug. But it's the fire behavior. So one of the things that Cody, you do, where we work, and we aren't going to mention names, but where we work, we have a prescribed fire program where Cody has been on that team as well. And that's where we really let it eat. We start the fires.
Yep.
And let it eat through the woods, which we use.
I would like to do that.
You need to come up and at least watch it. I tell you what, Mike, I do some for some private lands where you don't have to have all the certifications. And Cody may say I couldn't pass the PT test, but I know that Cody can put a 25-pound pack on and do 2 miles in 30 minutes because that's what he had to do to be able to get on the fire team. So, you did get that done. And so what are some of the differences that you see? Because you're still doing structure fire. You're still doing, with the volunteer fire department, you're still doing medic calls and you're still doing MVAs. So what do you see the differences in prescribed fire and then that part of fire, structure fire?
Well, I really, in my mind, I can control prescribed fires better than I can a house fire. And it sounds crazy to people. I really love the wildland fire, more. Every time we get a grass fire, that's my favorite thing to do is put the water pack on and run down in the woods and put it out. The medical calls, I done the medical back right after Katrina, the National Registry and all that, and I don't know, I just didn't really get into that as much as I did the firefighting. I just love working with the tools, cutting people out of vehicles. But the wildland fire, running down in the woods with that pack, that's my more favorite thing to do. I mean, I do the house fires, and I love watching the fire roll through the house fires, but I love a good woods fire.
Yep. Well, one, you know what good it's doing for the woods. What are you laughing about over there, Pontius? Are you muted?
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
No, he's...
So look.
I hear you now.
Fire. I lived in Canton, Mississippi, and behind my house was a 200-acre cotton field, wheat field. They rotated crops. And it must have been around 1970. Yeah, we're freaking old, Cody. Don't say shit. I got more hair than you, and I'm older than you, so don't say nothing. Just shut up.
He's my age, Cody.
I was born in 86, just to let you know.
Yeah.
We could have delivered you.
Hey, I've been married 36 years, and we got married in 89, so I'm going to age you real quick. So anyway, I was in Cub Scouts. Whatever the intro was, what's the baby? Cub Scouts?
Cub Scouts, then Weeblos.
Okay, so it was a wheat field year in the field. And we had done learned how to put the matches into the little pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
And I had my little canvas skillet with the handle where you screw the wing nuts on it. And
had to spin it around and tighten up your wing nut.
That's right. So me and my
your mess kit.
Yeah. So we're going out there into the woods, and we're going to cook us some eggs. Didn't think nothing about this brown wheatgrass. They ain't bush hogs yet for hay.
Little windy that day too, wasn't it?
It actually wasn't windy at all. It's just amazing how fast 3 little bitty old white tip, red, what they call red somethings.
Phosphorus match.
Yeah, what was the name of them? Red?
Safe Strike or something like that.
Yeah. Dude, I never did find my skillet. We got the garden hose. It was about 75 feet too short. Me and Eric crawled up under houses up there in Canton or on Sunset Drive or on piers, and there was one spot we could crawl up under the house. Dude, this field's on fire. It's 200 acres of wheat burning. They out there with
how many acres?
200.
Did y'all have to buy that crop?
No, they didn't actually harvest it. They just grew it to let the soil rest, and they tilled it in. So we actually did them a favor.
You did. You put carbon on the ground. Yeah.
We fertilized the soil, but everybody in town's out there. The police are out there. My dad's at work. I don't know where my mom was. My sister, I don't know if she was born yet or not. We're up under the house looking at this thing burn. And there's 8 fire trucks, and they out there flapping. They flapping. They got a hose out there. They putting the hose on it. And I look, and I see some people over there on the street, and they pointing at the house.
Your house.
My house.
Yeah.
I didn't come out.
You're busted.
No, hell, I wasn't busted. They were gone. And we stayed under that house 3 hours.
Whoa.
And finally, fire's out. They gone. They didn't. I think they had a truck came by every now and then, squirt a little. They could ride through the field in because they had it out, and they would squirt some more. We watched them come back. They had it out quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the only fuel they had was the wheat. As soon as it burned, it was gone.
Yeah.
We up under that house.
You didn't have any other stuff that could catch up around it.
There was no other fuel out there, and except my freaking Cub Scout
mess kit.
So long story short is my daddy came home and we got a black field out there that was a nice golden hay color that morning when he went to work. And Harry Tyner was his name. Mitch Tyner, if you're watching this, your daddy ratted me out, but you were there with your daddy. Mitch is a big time lawyer up in Jackson. Actually ran for governor a few years, 20 years ago, Mitch Tyner.
Oh, okay.
And then he and I are just childhood friends. He's 5 years older. Man, I always swore I was going to catch up with him, but I really wanted to kill him after that. But they ran me out, and the dude that owned it was from the Delta. But I had to go down to the fire station at 6 years old and apologize for lighting the field on fire. So I like watching stuff burn. That was the only time I ever burned something. Since then, I ain't been able to do it.
I got you.
So
it is fun watching it burn.
Yeah, you just said something about wildfires. I'm thinking that's what made me start laughing.
Yeah, when you put all that fuel in a row, it doesn't take long for it to spread through those grasses.
Yep.
I'll screenshot the field. It's got houses on it now, so man, I'll screenshot. I'll Google Earth it and I'll send it to you. I'll show you where I burned.
Yeah, all those roofs. You're lucky you didn't burn those houses down. Yeah, it's from my childhood to now, and I never noticed this when I was a kid. I thought my dad was crazy. He'd say, I used to hunt right there. No, you didn't, Dad. That's the dang Piggly Wiggly. You lost your damn mind. And until I got older and kids of my own, and they started building the roads in areas that were the woods that I grew up in, and I used to fish right here where we're driving through. Sure, you did, Dad. No, they filled all that in. They put roads, and yeah, it's not what it was back when we were kids. A lot of people talk about the good old days and how everybody was cool to each other. No, we had some ruffians in that group and everything, but we all took our lumps and moved on. And it made us who the hell we are, Yep. But what it did do is we're losing the environment. I feel like some of the dang animals we got to protect at work, our habitat is shrinking because we're putting up, new neighborhoods and parking lots for a shopping mall and all that kind of crap.
It's going to shrink by 3 more deers if they grow horns this year, if they rub on my sycamores. They done killed 2 poplar trees. And I just caught, I got a sycamore in the back, it recovered. I done put me some corrugated pipe. If I find that they done got on my damn trees again, it's going to shrink by at least 3 deer. So now Miss Lori's we got a camera on our back porch. Midnight, they come and eat her at the bottom of the steps right here. There's some kind of, I don't know what it is, but they like it. I got a picture of this deer walking up, eats this shit for 20 minutes. I guess he gets full and he walks off. There may be 4 deer that ain't here next year if they get home.
Look, I'll tell you this right now, Mike. You got enough dirt that you could plant you some blueberry bushes in your yard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They eat their blueberries, they dead without questions.
Wait. Blueberry bushes, you get you at least half dozen blueberry bushes. It's Pontius Farms, baby. You can write off, get that tax credit on the farm, and then when you get deer in there messing with your crop, now they're a nuisance animals. There ain't no season.
I get it. So My neighbor, they behind us here is 22 acres. We're on 6.5 acres. Across the street's another 36 acre. Another spot's 40. So we just got a lot of acreage and and there's 3,000 forest acres over here. And so we got deer. They run them damn dogs up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where the deer go. They come here.
Well, look, I got to tell you, Mike. First time I went down to your place was in October. Last time I went to your place, you were in a neighborhood that was house, 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 house.
16
And,
feet.
yeah, and we were. I said, "Good Lord, I hope your neighbor's house doesn't catch fire, because if it does, yours is gone too, brother." But now you've got some dirt, you've got some space around you. You're living the dream. You have the perfect setup there, and I was proud to say, hey, I didn't know this was going on the coast, but
We got a little slice of country. Cody, you need to come down here and see it. Where do you live?
I live just north of Hattiesburg.
there you go. That's all we're gonna say.
You got some dirt?
Sir?
You got acreage?
No, sir. I don't here. But I've got over in Columbia, I've got about 285 acres of
There you
family
go.
land.
I'm gonna be able to piss off my front porch or back porch.
That's right.
And not worry about it. My wife had a flat tire in her Jeep and we were building the house. I went out in my boxer shorts and changed the tire.
I pissed off your back porch, and folks got mad at me. Of course, it was the barbecue.
Rob, there's 300 people here. They probably tried to see a little winky dinky, man. Yeah.
Everybody got mad at me when I peed off your porch.
Rob Holmes, he ain't.
Oh, have mercy. So, all right, I see you. Okay. And that's the thing. What you got to understand, Mike, is you have a hot mic on you. When you walk away, we can still hear you. We may not be able to see you, but we can hear.
Look, if I ain't you're fine. If I'm taking a dump, you won't hear me.
You had to top off. I got you.
I will. If you see me do this, I'm going to shit.
Thanks for. Now you're gonna cue us in, and we're gonna know everything. When you come back, we're gonna go. Everything come out all right?
Yep.
Speaking of coming out all right, this is kind of related to old people. I had hip surgery, and I've had. Anyway, when you take pain pills, it constipates you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this old guy that one of the jobs I'm working on, he's an older electrician. He's getting his hip replaced. And I said, man, yeah, I had mine. So I'm climbing like a monkey on a ladder all over the place. He said, man, how you do that? It doesn't hurt. I said, nah, best thing I ever did, get my hip replaced.
Did you get one or both of them done?
Boy, I ain't into that kind of pain. I just got one done, the right one. And
how long ago was that?
Happy birthday on August 15th of 2021.
And you've made it 4 years. 4 years, and you hadn't had to have the other one replaced already?
Did it from kicking footballs and soccer balls for forever. I abused the shit out of it. Anyway, I told David, he said, give me pointers. I said, man, I got about a 4-inch foam cushion you put on your toilet. I said, that's the best thing you can ever do, because I promise you, if you don't have because I got tall toilets in my house. I said, if you got a little bitty toilet, you really gonna need it. Anyway, he didn't come get it. I said, take laxatives every day, whether you take prune juice or take Ducrelax or whatever. Take it every day. He said, no, I don't like that. I said, dude, you ever shit a 2x4 square on both ends? He says, ain't gonna be no problem. He didn't listen to me quite well enough. So he came by the job site the other day. We were finishing up. I said, how you doing? He says, Mike, I should have listened to you. I said, what about the cushion or the laxative? He says, it was a 6x6.
Oh, Lord, he had an impaction going. Hey,
dude, he wasn't impacted. He was compacted. He was compacted like a freaking footing under a slab.
Do they still make Phenamint gum?
Dude, I forgot all about that.
My dad one time when he was young, I mean,
Damn.
I was a little bitty tot, and he worked at this one store, and he saw these delivery guys out back, and he was chewing on some gum. He goes, "Hey man, give me some of that gum." The guy said, "You sure you want some?" He said, "Yeah, give me some gum." He loaded. Dad said, "Oh, it's little. Give me a few." Dad got like 6 pieces of that Phenamint gum because it's about like a chiclet, big chiclet.
I forgot about
Oh
that.
Lord.
Threw it in there, chewed it up. He got loaded up on some Phenamint. Those old guys, those delivery guys, they laughed about that. They told me about it when I was 18, 17, and all that going around the store.
I can remember at AmServe Station 1, the jelly donuts from Quality Bakery. What got put in them? X-Lax or whatever.
Yeah.
They would draw it up. We had people, you steal the donuts, you gonna shit. It's coming. You ain't controlling it. Somebody takes off running. Shouldn't have ate it.
Well, there'd be like they'd load up a few of them. You didn't know. It was like playing Russian roulette if you were trying to steal the donuts out the box.
Sandy would be a good one for that. She was probably the head injector.
I don't doubt that. She probably had the formula down where she knew how to make it where it wasn't noticeable by taste.
What was the other? Epicac. Make you throw up.
Yes.
Epicac or Extralax. Ducralax or
Dulcolax.
Dulcolax. I call it
Dulcolax.
Ducralax.
I figured out what you were saying, and I knew where you were coming from with it.
Cody, you ain't
Yes,
never
sir.
had no desire to ride on an ambulance other than as a third person on a call?
I have several times doing CPR, and it never. I'm really not into the medical side as much as I am the firefighting side, and people have to joke about it, but I kind of get tired of seeing dead people.
Yep.
It's
That's why Mike and I are like we are. That's why we have that dark sense of humor.
And
that took me a long time, whenever I first joined, because the first wreck, not first wreck, but the first big wreck I pulled on, and there's a person laying in the road. They didn't even have a sheet over the person yet, and the paramedics were sitting there joking, and I'm like, what in the hell are y'all doing? How does this work? This person just lost their life. We don't have a sheet on them yet. People driving by, which it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. There wasn't a lot of people coming by, but it took me a while to realize, that you have to just get in that mindset. And, when you see those paramedics or your other firefighting buddies, you just have to, just pick up where you left off, joke and bullshit and carry on, to make it through it.
They say all those people say, "Oh, you can't park there." And you're like, dude, you ain't supposed to have an elbow right there. What is that knee doing right there? Does that hurt?
Yep. That really took me a while to get to, but now I have a reputation, built up with the highway patrol, sheriff's department, Hattiesburg, and then AAA, and that helps a lot, having those people to be there with you to talk to, and that's helped me through it a lot.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. I guess I was just different. I've been on kids that got shot that headless horsemen's. I mean, that's another dark humor. Somewhere along the way, I have the ability to shit or get off the pot. Are you gonna save their life, or are you gonna let it go? And I talked to I'm burnt out. How you get burnt out, dude? You get up, you go to work, you go home, you forget about it. Well, apparently that's different with me, because I literally can go to work and I mean, from people burned in fires to people with rebar stuck through their eyeballs coming out the back of their head to eviscerations to people cut in half with the train. I mean, there ain't nothing I hadn't seen, but I ain't never had a nightmare. I swear though, Rob, we could hear the klaxon going off before it went off
Yeah.
when you was at the station.
There was a static that would pop your eyes open before the klaxon went to rolling.
Well, that son did. I'm up. I'm half dressed before we go out the door. But it just it's weird that some people can.
That makes you 10-8 times good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's like you said, you know, it was a dark side. No, I don't think that I ever had burnout or traumatic nightmares or anything like that. I know it's very, very prevalent. You know, Carlos Redmond started the first CISD down here, and people really, really used it a lot. When we would have a fellow worker pass away from whatever reason it was, you know, I mean, they would come in and they would talk, but I'm talking now just out of experience, but and I don't forget it. It's there, but it's not something that affects me to the point that I lost sleep over. And I know that sounds kind of cold, but I guess like you said, it took you a while to understand the side of what you were seeing. Maybe I just picked it up quicker.
Yeah, and that's a mindset you got to be in, and my hat's off to paramedics and people that you know, especially like the coroner. I mean, I have that's hard for me. I don't see how anybody could want to be a coroner, much less run for office to be a coroner. You know.
Man, look, Paul McGarry used to do autopsies down here in Ocean Springs and at Gulf Coast Medical Center. Did you ever sit in on any, Rob?
No, not on any of the autopsies.
Really? Shit, man, that was almost a good shift when you went on a scene, because you know if you worked them, you took them to the hospital. You know,
you didn't have to go to the autopsy for the inquest.
Well, the inquest was done in the ER. The doctors say, how'd he die?
Right.
You'd say, well,
Right.
he got run over by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody agree? Yep. All right, here's your $25. Sign here.
Yep. I've done my share of inquests, but I never did. And I never took that blood money to the house. I always used it. I would buy pizza at work with blood
I'd buy
money.
beer with it. Oh, that was blood money.
Well, you bought beer with everything.
Everything. But Dr. McGarry would come. There was two places on the coast that did autopsies, and the guy was out of New Orleans, Paul McGarry. He's a well-known guy. Did it at Gulf Coast Medical Center at Ocean Springs Hospital. I think he may have done them at Singing River too, if I'm not mistaken. That was South Mississippi. And he would come in, hey, Doc, can I sit in? Come on. Dude, I have seen hundreds of autopsies.
Wow.
And maybe that's where I can separate their dead versus how they died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain it, but that was one of my greatest learning experiences, was going to autopsies. I mean, here, put your gloves on. Here, touch this, touch this, touch this, touch this, and so anyway.
That's crazy.
Segue there, yeah.
So, you know, Mike, and what I wanted to talk about on the last episode is you were a medic, a bang up medic, good medic, never were called defendant. Were you?
Yep, me and Bruce LaFata.
Okay, I was never called defendant, but
you talking about in a court case?
Yeah.
Yeah, one time.
But anyway, you were a good medic, you were good to your patients, and you truly cared more about your patients than what you thought about what a supervisor or manager was going to say about how you treated them. I know that. Okay, I saw that. But then, if you don't mind, you, I don't know. You got a TV on there, Cody?
Yeah, I'm trying.
I'm muted his shit now.
6-year-old and 10-year-old, there's no quiet place in the house.
I got you. But you went from being a medic, and you said something about your hip. I don't know if you want to talk about when you became a patient. What was different when the shoe hit the other foot, Mike?
Which one? We talking about my back, my hip, or my cancer? Which one?
Your cancer.
Oh shit, that's a whole nother story, dude. You know what, Rob? I'm gonna call you Rob tonight because we're gonna be halfway formal. I bet, we used to take people from the VA to Keesler for radiation on the ambulance.
Till they glowed.
Dude, it was so bad you had to put 3 nitriles on to dump the freaking urinal out when you got back to the room because that shit
I
was hot.
I told all y'all if I ever got cancer, I was naming that some bitch Fred, and me and Fred were going fishing to the end of my days. I wasn't gonna do radiation. I wasn't gonna do chemo.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. So I started when I was 14 years old, dipped Copenhagen. I dipped Copenhagen until I was 50. I dipped Copenhagen for over 40 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. Every day. Didn't quit. Didn't swallow it. I guess that doesn't matter. But anyway, dude, I would put a dip in the morning before breakfast, taking a shower, spit in the shower, eat breakfast, put a dip in, go to work.
Yep.
I would be fired because I dipped at work. I may have swallowed some at work.
You ever spit in a glove when they started putting gloves on the unit?
I
On a
never
trans?
dipped on an ambulance, Rob.
I'd spit in a glove. And man, let me tell you what. If your partner, if you didn't tie it off right, your partner got some of it on them.
Look, the best thing was the vomit bags, as Carlos Anderson, the vomit, VOMICK, vomit. You got to learn how to put your vomit bag in the trash. So anyway, I dipped and can't stand cigarettes. I may have smoked dope back in high school, but that was the extent of that. I didn't like cigars.
I
When we
love
get onto the
cigars.
cigar story, we're gonna have a story one night about smoking, but not tonight. So anyway, man, I was just one day early 2022. Yeah. Yeah. February.
3 years ago.
Early February 2022. Maybe the 1st of February. I was like, felt like I had a cornflake stuck in my throat. Like, yeah, you get little ulcers on your tongue or your lip.
Yeah.
What it kind of felt like. And I actually quit dipping mid-January. Don't know why. I just quit cold turkey. And had no idea. I quit. And so I was sitting there and I mean, something ain't right here. So this went on for like 2 weeks. So my buddy's an ENT. He was actually my primary care doctor for 30 years. The ear, nose, and throat.
Wow.
I call him primary. I never got sick. I'd get a cold, he'd send me some Sudafed or whatever we needed. So anyway, I said, hey man, can you look at my throat? And he says, yeah, come by. He says, man, you got to get them tonsils out. I said, all right. And so
I can't believe you kept your tonsils till your 50s.
I ain't never been sick, dude.
I still got mine. Wisdom
Man.
teeth, tonsils, everything.
I just had my wisdom teeth taken out 4 years ago.
I thought you were a little dumber than you were back in the day.
So anyway, February 17th, 2022. Go get my tonsils out. No, that was when my appointment was to see the doctor. March 17th, 2022, get my tonsils out. Laura's like, man, you don't want to get them out. Everybody I talked to says it hurts, yada, yada. I'm like, I'm getting them out. Mr. Magoo's in here. He's in my head. I don't know. I never said nothing to her. And she never said about why I'd quit dipping, but she had no, I mean, this didn't have nothing to do with quitting dipping. It just was a coincidence. And I'll get to that in a second. And So March, and when I tell you pain on a level that you cannot comprehend.
That's in the back of your throat or at post surgery?
Yeah, it's post surgery. So the reason they take tonsils out in kids is because the esophageal muscles have not fully
Right.
grown and turned into muscle. The
Right.
cartilage is still softer and everything's softer. And that's the reason they tolerate it so much.
Tonsils, adenoids, and tympanostomy at 5 years old.
Tenfold. And because it's not near as painful and you don't remember it and you recover from it. So anyway,
Right.
Clay, he's a freaking awesome dude. The ENT. He told Lori when she came out, says, "Hey man, it was I cleaned it up best I could, got it all out. They were dirty or nasty or something to that effect." And he didn't say anything about cancer. I asked him the other day when I went. I said, "Dude, you knew the day when you opened that thing up." He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, fuck, why'd you make me wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks to tell me this shit?" He said, "Would it have made a difference?" I'm like, I guess not. And
So did he send your tonsils off for a biopsy, and that's how y'all found out?
well, I had a 2 centimeter, which is the size of your thumb, 2 centimeter tumor in my back left in my tonsil.
Wow.
And he did have to send them off. And so we go in a week later, and I texted him halfway through. I said, "Dude, when does this shit get better? They don't make enough pain pill. Magic mouthwash. I don't know who invented that shit. 2
Ain't no
days.
magical.
That ain't bullshit." I called him. I said, "Hey, call me in some freaking Cetacane." He says,
Oh
"What?" I
yeah,
said,
yeah,
"Call me some Cetacane."
yeah.
He says, "Why?" I said, "Because this magic mouthwash, the hose ain't getting to the fire cap. Dude, it's like putting freaking yogurt water mixed up with milk into your throat. You're going to gag and choke on this shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to swallow, dude."
No.
So Clay called me in some, they call it hurricane spray now. It ain't banana flavored.
That I used to love the smell of that cedar cane. Whenever
Oh,
I'd
dude,
have to,
hey, that shit is awesome. It's
yeah,
like a Magnolia fuscata. I'm going way deep into my feminine gardening side, but Google Magnolia fuscata. Don't ask me how to spell the shit because it smells like a banana.
yep,
And that's what cedar cane smelled like, was a banana.
yep.
And so anyway, it's alcohol based. I don't know if you know what happens when you put alcohol on a cut, but I think that's an alternative fuel for launching the fucking space shuttle. I told Laura, I said, "Go get that freaking hurricane spray." She comes home. I'm like a crack addict, man. I pull that little red tube off. I stick it in. Damn, that hurt. And about 2 seconds later,
Didn't feel anything.
I didn't feel nothing.
Yep.
So that got me through. But when I tell you it hurt, I cannot even begin to fathom if I would not have thought about that going through the rest of it. So anyway, we go back in on the 24th of March, 2022. Had the hip in 21, had cancer 2022. And walked into the room. Lori went up there with me because I still couldn't drive. And we sit down and he sits down. He says, "How you feel?" I said, "I hurt." He said, "It'll get better." I said, "Good." He said, "Well, you got cancer."
Wow.
The fuck? And
And this is your buddy Clay.
yeah. I was like, "All right, bad?" He says, "Well, no, earliest I've ever seen it. And you may or may not need radiation." I said, "Call Wall at Memorial. I'm going to Memorial." He says, "Well, she does chemotherapy oncology. You need to talk to radiation." So he sent me to a doctor named Rod Crentel. And so I got to back up. So you may remember, Rob, 2009, a buddy of mine, Stan Gartman, we did a barbecue fundraiser for him, fish fry. He had throat cancer, just like me. The exact same throat cancer, but he caught it a lot later. His shit was stage 4 crossed over. Warren R. Day, a buddy of mine in Gulfport, insurance salesman, coached soccer. He and I coached our boys to state championships. Stage 4, crossed over. He went to MD Anderson. Stan went to Singing River. Trace Bond, a guy I graduated with, he went to Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville because he lived over there. Dude, they all had rough goes. Timmy Knighton, same thing, went to South Alabama. So, man, I ain't going over there. So we get out of there, and I had, the clinical diagnosis is HPV positive, T1 N0M0, which means it's one tumor, T1, nodes, lymph nodes affected 0, M margins none.
Okay.
And
so
then
it's pretty in a very direct area.
At the time, it's very invasive tumor. I mean, fast growing, very invasive. Jeremy German just died from it a year or so ago because of the complications from it. And the complications are your head ain't right. So anyway, and I mean that with all seriousness. I said, all right, let's go meet him. I'm ready to start radiation. He said, dude, you do not want to burn that shit right now. You need to let it heal. I'm like,
really?
I'll start this shit tomorrow. I'm already hurting. He says, you don't want to do it right now. So it's like 2 weeks. I call Memorial. Hey, when am I meeting with Dr. Crentel? When am I meeting? Finally, they get me in like 2 weeks later. So now it's like the first week of April. And he says, man, we cannot do radiation on that until it's healed. I said, dude, I don't give two shits if it's healed or not. I got cancer. He said, the report says he got it. You got very minimal margins. It's a very treatable form of cancer. I'm like, you had cancer, bro? No. I said, don't tell somebody to wait.
I ain't got a little cancer.
Don't tell me how I feel.
Well, I mean, he wasn't really telling me how to feel. He was like, he knew that it wasn't absolutely necessary to start today, but he ain't got it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
there's a little bit more personal ownership when you're the host.
100%. So anyway, he tells me, you're gonna have to wait. It's like, man, I really don't want to wait. My guard dogs, I'm sorry.
Cody, I'm just gonna give you the heads up. Mike does this from his back porch. So he's looking out on his backyard and seeing the guard dogs. If those deer come up, he'll scream, the deer are out there.
Now, the dogs are actually at the front window, so I ain't worried about the deer. Anyway, he says, ma'am, you do not want to do that. You cannot go and burn something that's already cut. So remember we used to have patients who had carotid arteries or...
Yeah, we used to call it cauterization. Cauterizing.
They would radiate them and the shit would bust open.
Yeah.
We can't radiate that right now. It's too close to your jugulars and carotids. You can't do that. All right. So when are we going to do it? 8 weeks.
Wow.
Huh?
Is it? Did you ask him? Is it that slow growing, or did they do anything in that interim 8 weeks?
He said no. They did nothing other than I recuperated from the tonsillectomy, and the pain, the throat healed, and doctor knows best. Let's subscribe to that theory, right? Doctor knows best.
First, do no harm.
He doesn't have cancer. So April, towards the end of April, they said we're going to do what we call a simulation. What the hell is a simulation? Simulation is where they go in and they CAT scan you, and they've got markers from they can still see the surgery sites. They know where the tonsil was. And a lot of people you see with cancer and radiation, they have ink tattoos on them. You see little marks on them.
Yeah. That's for their targeting.
I've got a mask, and I hadn't burned it yet. I don't know why. It's in my laundry room. Simulation is where they put that mask on you.
And personally fit it for you.
So what it is a 3 foot wide by 2 foot tall sheet of mesh, plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it in this oven drawer and heat it up to, it melts at a very low temperature, probably 98 degrees, maybe 100. And they lay you down on this table, and then they bring this freaking mesh over your face, and they pull it down. And that's when you see all the, you want me to go get it? I'll go get it.
A few moments later.
I'm going to have to put that graphic up in here.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love that one.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Tough to drink through that thing.
Oh, man, Lord have mercy.
So look.
I saw that movie. Is your hair all grown up around it, Leo? Or are they going to, when you come out of that thing, are they going to cut your hair and you'll look like Leo DiCaprio?
Well, I mean, you can see how wide this thing is.
Yeah.
And so they put it down on you. I'm going to take it off now.
Wait. Did they strap you down to a dolly and tie you?
It's a board. See these pins right here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 10 pins that go all the way around this thing. So,
all right, Dr. Lecter.
So there. Anyway, hey, so there's my tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the blue?
You're going to have to pull it right in front of you, Mike. The background's wanting to take over. Yeah, I'm seeing them, though.
Yeah, I see it now.
Little marks on here. So I avoided the tattoos, but they marked it on here. So when you would go in for treatment, they reference everything. So that's what the simulation was. So this is the left tonsil right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's where. So anyway, we're gonna burn that son of a bitch one day. I don't know when.
I think sometime in October might be fitting.
Well, we got a friend of ours that's going through some stuff with him right now, so we're going to probably have a joint burning. But anyway, so you go in and you do this simulation. They heat this thing up and they put it down on you, and they said, now it's going to be tight. And what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 pins that hold that thing down. And I knew I had a big head, but anyway, you can't see it. So anyway, I'm thinking, you see it on TV, but it's me. And turns out the lady, the head dosimetrist, worked in the Biloxi Regional X-ray, and I grew up with her, Cheryl.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway. Well,
back in the day.
What are you doing here? Anyway, why do you think I'm here? So they put this thing on it. So I had done some reading before I went in there.
Mm-hmm.
And just to give you an idea how tight this thing is, they said, close your eyes when they put it on you every day. Because if you open your eyes when they put it on you, you can't close your eyes. That's how tight it is.
Oh.
So if your eyes are open when they put this mask on you for treatment, you're going to fight to close your eyes. It's that freaking tight. It is, if you're claustrophobic, you're screwed. So I got through the process. I texted my buddy from Ocean Springs that had it. He said, man, you got to get God. I said, all right. I texted another guy. He says, man, you got to go to MD Anderson. Texted another guy. He says, get your fucking head on right. I like that one. That's me. Yeah. Get your head on right.
Cowboy up, do what the hell you got to do.
Yeah. And so, long story short is it was March 17th to March 24th to May 7th or 8th before I had my first treatment.
That's crazy.
And after the first day, I called my buddy. I said, dude, I ain't claustrophobic, but they put you on this freaking table, and it takes about 15 total minutes. You walk in, they set you on there, they put the mask on you, they don't pin it down until they get you really close. And then when they pin it down, it's about 9 or 10 minutes. And then they got to let it cool off for a second before they can take you off of it. So anyway, the first treatment, I'm like, man, this shit, I can't do this crap. There ain't no way I can do this. I'd already asked the doctor, I said, is this necessary? He says, bro, you had freaking cancer, an invasive, regardless of how early you got it. I've never seen it that early. I got to back up. He went to school at South Alabama. He did 13 years in the Pediatric Cancer Center at South Alabama, 7 years at Baptist Cancer Center in Pensacola, and 11 years at MD Anderson in Houston. I think I'm in pretty good hands.
Yeah, I think so.
So
he's got the pedigree anyway.
Yeah, that dog can hunt. And so he said, I'll call you in some Ativan. I don't like taking that shit. I don't want to take that shit. And so I asked my buddy, I said, man, what did you do? He says, songs are about 3.5 minutes long. I said, yep. He said, tell them to play your songs in there. And when you hear that third song start, you know you're almost done. Never had another flinch the entire time. So circling back to my throat surgery with the tonsillectomy, it took about, I tried the magic mouthwash because it's burning more than just the surgery. It's burning. And after about, I had 6 weeks, 5 days a week for 6 weeks, 30 treatments every day. Exact same time. Take Saturdays and Sundays and holidays off because cancer don't know nothing about them. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
They did. Huh?
So you're going. I'm used to hearing radiation 3 times a week. You were going 5 times a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty aggressive treatment plan.
Dude,
yeah, it is. I don't want to lie to you, but 6 million rad units something of radiation, which is pretty intense. Throat cancer is not responsive to chemotherapy, so I didn't have to have chemotherapy.
That's why you got to keep all that.
It shit would have grown back. It'd have been good. Yeah. I didn't have to do 35 treatments, which don't sound like much. It's only 5 more. It's 1 more week. But because it was stage 1 and didn't have any margins or any nodes. So
right.
I didn't have to do 35 treatments, which a lot of people have to do. And so after about the 3rd or 4th day, Lori'd go up there and in the lobby, and they're very prompt. I mean, they know how long these things take. They got puzzles and stuff. I get in the lobby one morning and come out, and my buddy was going to come pick me up because he really wanted to help me. So I'm sitting there, and there's this old black gentleman sitting in the chair across from me over there. He looks at me. He said, what you in here for?
I robbed a liquor store.
I said, throat cancer, what you in here for? He says, pulls his shirt up, breast cancer. No shit. This dude has got a 8.5 by 11 barbecued ass area.
Yeah.
Where they're radiating me. I mean, it is as red as Cody's background.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we talked, but so I come home that night and I told Lori, I said, Because my friends that have had this throat cancer had the same thing. Man, their neck looks like freaking dead fish, scaly. I told Lori, I said, this shit ain't gonna work. I said, I'm gonna tell them I want some Silvadene in the morning. She said, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna take me about 3 oxycodones every day, and I'm gonna debride that freaking skin with a Brillo pad in a freaking shower.
Wow.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's torturous to see this. And I'll get to the success of that in a minute. And this is all about me, I guess, and I apologize for taking this entire podcast time up.
No.
Cody thought he was going to talk fire, and we talking freaking neck fire.
No, I'm into it.
So I get the Silvadene, and I just knew about it from burn patients.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I knew about Silvadene. And I get up one morning, I go treatment, I come home. I always took my showers when I got home, just, I don't know why. Took a shower in the morning. I didn't do anything. It wasn't like I was out sweating. So I didn't. And I think the first day I took 2, I think they're like 10 milligrams. They're the strongest oxycodones they make. I think I took 2 10 milligrams. Maybe 7.5, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Sprayed some Cetacane, launched the space shuttle, hurricane spray, because it was starting to burn from the radiation.
For a few seconds.
I'm glad I waited 8 weeks, because I can't imagine the pain of shooting radiation for 10 minutes on that freaking tissue that wasn't healed. And I said, all right, here goes. So I had some equivalent of Pfizer-Hex. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I had a surgical sponge. And I think we're going to up that dose to 3 tomorrow.
Wow.
And
3 oxycodone?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. I cut it back to probably 3 days a week. But I did that because radiation cooks for about 8 weeks after, 6 weeks after you're done. So I started scrubbing my neck probably the 2nd week, 3rd week of May, and scrubbed it multiple times a week until I finished up June 29th or 30th or something like that, and scrubbed it all the way through the end of July. So, side story, I go to a dermatologist. I got blue eyes, fair skin, reddish hair. She's burned shit off on me, all kind of stuff. I just went and saw her the other day, and I said, so how do I look? She says, you like you had a facelift. I said, you ain't got a scale, you don't have a blood vein, you don't have nothing. I said,
Chemical peel is what you had.
I guess I'm vindicated for scrubbing my freaking neck and stuff. I don't have a scaly neck. I guess it's just part of that stubborn shit in my head, and knowing about Cetacane and knowing about Silvadene. I don't know. So anyway, long story short is after that, my ENT Clay, every month for the first year, I'd go into the office, they'd spray lidocaine, spray in my nose, and they'd put a tube down my nose and look in my throat and my vocal cords and my esophagus and everything. I did that monthly for the first year. Then the next year I did it every 2 months. Right. And then I just finished up every 3 months. So now I'm going every 6 months. And once I get to the 5th year, I'll go once a year. And the prognosis is pretty much freaking, it's gone. But
do they do any extra blood work for you? Do you have any markers that they could find on blood work?
No, they're the only history of cancer in my family is melanoma. I had a cousin died from it. My brothers had surgeries. My sisters had surgeries. but there's no history of cancers anywhere, and there's no markers that showed up that said I had a propensity to have any type of heart disease, liver failure, kidney failure.
Wow.
They've done all that. I, for the most part, I'm just a stubborn ass, healthy person who happened to have been given a bad back, had arthritic hip, and then had throat cancer.
Well, you know, we might have had some bad back from our youthful activities that we did, but that Furno Model 30 is one of the
30.
worst activities that we had to deal with. That 2-man back-breaking stretcher.
Cody, you never saw that son bitch. You probably pressed the button the first day you got on the freaking ambulance to help him, didn't you?
Well, you know, now they have those. They lift up,
That's what he's talking about.
That's what I'm saying. You just
that is amazing. That was a prayer that. Lord have mercy. Because when that call comes out that AAA needs lift assist, you know, 550-pound males.
I'm on the shitter.
I mean, everybody cringes.
Back in the day, Cody, Mike and I, you know, would have to squat down, spreading our legs, reach between our legs, and grab the bottom rail of that stretcher and pick it up.
Yep.
We'd do it on 1, 2, 3, and we'd pick it up and we'd straighten up, and we still were too short to get in the ambulance. So you would have to do a reverse curl. You'd have to do a reverse curl to get it where you could get those front wheels into the truck.
Right.
And then we were sliding it in there to get it in the truck. Back-breaking sons of guns.
Hey,
That's
this is a
crazy.
true story. The Model 30 was not designed to roll in an elevated position. It was designed to be moved on the ground in its lowest position. It had a folding handle.
Mm-hmm.
The footrest was a U-shaped handle, probably, I would call that about 6 inches. I don't know, something like that.
6, 8 inches, yeah.
It was probably about 6 inches. And then it had like an 18-inch smaller handle that folded up.
The swing bar.
And that was how you were supposed to move the Model 30 around.
Well, that ain't how we did it.
Nobody did it, and it was top heavy and low, and the base was small. We dumped the shit. It was like a freaking dump truck spreading gravel. So we could do it.
Never dumped a patient.
You lying?
Never dumped a patient. But I did do lots of backboard carries to the stretcher at the base of the ambulance.
Yeah.
I would carry them.
Oh.
I wasn't like if. Did you ever get to go to the Hoot Owl Club?
Who did where?
The Hoot Owl Club up in North Gulfport.
I'm sure I've been there many times.
It was a house that they turned into a bar, had a couple of pool tables in there, and the parking lot was what once was a front yard. So imagine rainstorms and people pulling up in your lawn. It's got the ruts. It's a muddy mess.
Yep.
We have backboarded patients from the club to the stretcher just to get them lifted into the ambulance. But we never, because you couldn't roll that stretcher in an elevated position through that parking lot. You just be carrying them. But Mike, one of the things that came from that on your cancer treatment is you talked about some of the stuff. You had somebody picking you up and dropping you off and driving you back and forth. You couldn't drive during all this time.
No, I did. I couldn't. It was just he was hell bent on helping me go there. I said, "Well, come pick me up."
Well, then you found out. Well, one, you had this event that you would do, and then when you found out that you could earn some money for a good foundation, let's hear about a foundation and let's hear about an event that might be coming up here in a few months.
Well, you back to Robbie now. Cody, I'm sorry. I didn't know you was going to have to listen to the Mike show, but we moved into this house. Our backyard is 2 acres of cleared property. And so COVID was coming on, and Lori and I out here on our back porch. We moved in June of 2020. The house was barely finished, and I'm standing out here one day. I said, you know what? This freaking alienation lockdown bullshit, I can't stand it. And I've been a competitive barbecue cooker for 25 years.
Yep.
And there's a group of guys that I know down here, and I texted them all. I said, hey, COVID free, mask free, barbecue competition, first place only. Who's in? Within 5 minutes, I had 10 teams. Dude, it was like a free for all in my backyard. I had people parked sideways, crooked ways, upside down, power sliding through the grass. We had a blast. We did it a second year. They would pay for the meat. We would put the project on. We had a band, and so we did it November 13th the first year. The band's like, dude, you got to change this shit. We can't feel our fingers trying to play guitar. It was cold. I mean, it was like 30 degrees that night, and they were playing Friday night from 7 to 10 or something like that. So we moved it to November 3rd.
Still cold.
Still cold. You know, we got to move this shit. So I got to get my dates right.
Doesn't have to be the exact date, Mike. It's been a few years.
I got to get my years. So anyway, but the next year, I said, we're going to move it up to before the time changes. So we moved it up to the third weekend in October.
Yep.
Dude, it was beautiful. Temperature was perfect. Weather was perfect. No rain. It was beautiful. Well, that was in October of 22. And some of the time ain't right. Anyway, find out I got cancer. October 21. 20, 21, 22, 23, 45. So we're on our 5th year. So we didn't do it. The first event I did after I had cancer was I went and ran in this thing in Gulfport called Carter's Champions. It was a 5K run.
Wow.
Pink dress run is what they call it. They got this thing in New Orleans called a red dress run.
What's pink dress for? What's pink for?
Cancer. It's a pink ribbon, breast cancer awareness. Yeah, I like booby awareness, but they call it breast cancer awareness.
Save the tatas.
Yeah. Right. Save the titties. My favorite saying is titties and beer. Well, there it is. Titties and beer.
Yep.
How come that? Why does that not work?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my goal to go run this race. And a buddy of mine, John Carter, from his dad is Island View, and they got Blackjack Ranch and Blackjack Beef, and his brother Joel Carter's a senator in Mississippi, and his brother Jake's a realtor in Gulfport. His sister Christine's a queen of Gulf Coast Carnival, and they're just good people. Known them for a long time. And I saw John after the run. And John's a musician, actually. He and Joel cooked the first year. And then they got busy with shit and didn't come back because of conflicts. But anyway, I said, dude, what do you do with this money you raised for this run? There's 700 people out here running. And he says, man, had an aunt, had cancer. And we raised money, give it to the foundation of Memorial Hospital. I said, like a charity? He says, yeah. I said, give me a contact. He gives me this lady's name named Amy Robertson. I said, Amy, I know John Carter. I just got through cancer treatment through Memorial Hospital. Quintel's my doctor. And I said, we do a barbecue in our backyard. And, you know, I've seen people up there. I'm not going to get into all of it, but there was a lady I watched die. She didn't have caregivers at the it was just a sad, sad situation. People die from fucking cancer every day because they ain't.
Because Because they want to treat it, they don't want to cure it.
They don't have the way to go get all the treatments they need. They don't have a ride. They can't get the medicine they need because they don't have the money, because insurance don't cover it. People die every day. Not because they don't want us to cure it. That's a whole nother argument for another day. But there's people who die because they can't get the treatment. For one reason or another. And that's bull fucking shit. Nobody should die that wants to get treatment because they don't have the money. Period.
Yeah.
With you. 110%.
I called Amy, I said, I want to donate money. Carter and them do like $200,000 a year. They got a bunch of events throughout the year. I said, Amy, we want to donate all our proceeds to the foundation. Mike, that's awesome. So we never charged anything. So we changed the format afterwards and said, hey, we're having this barbecue again. $25 to get in. Proceeds go to the foundation. Then we wrote a check for $13,700 the first year.
Wow.
We'll do this different. We're going to go up to $40. Went up to $40, had some unexpected expenses, and wrote a check for $15,500 this year. Got a band from Nashville. So to back up, women are very proud of their hair, and there's a system. It's called a cooling cap. They wear it during chemotherapy for breast cancer treatment and other chemotherapy-related illnesses. And there's a system out there where this guy who had a wife who had beautiful hair, she had breast cancer, and she says, I'd rather die than lose my hair.
Wow.
He's like, horse shit. Paxman system, Paxman. That's his name, I think. He said, you ain't gonna die and you ain't gonna lose your hair. He invents this freaking space shuttle looking cooling cap that's got two hoses in it that runs glycol through it. It lowers the temperature of the hair follicle on the scalp. Hair loss, 99% prevented.
Wow, that's crazy.
So wait, basically, it's an air condition just for the scalp. Yep. And it doesn't affect the effectiveness of the chemo in the rest of the body.
The efficacy of the chemo and radiation are not affected at all.
That's freaking awesome.
Not radiating. The follicles are only an eighth of an inch deep. Yeah. And you're not radiating an eighth of it. You're radiating into it. And the studies, the outcomes are zero different. Now, there's different cancers that it does and doesn't work for. Different types of chemotherapy. Some people are receptive to different things. But the majority of it, 99% reduction in hair loss. So they didn't have the system at Memorial, but we gave them the money. So of the $13,700 we gave, I said, I want $7,000 earmarked for cooling cap for these people. And she said, all right, as soon as we get it in, we got that money in there. Because insurance doesn't cover it, it costs $2,000 per cap. Mm-hmm. And that's your cap, just like that's my mask. But it's your cap, so you use it for your treatment. The other thing is...
And insurance does not cover that? Insurance?
Nobody knows. No, sir. No, sir. And so we gave them the money in December of 23. Trying to think when it was. Like 5 months later, I knew they were getting the system. Amy Robertson, the director of the foundation, sends me a text. Hey, just want to let you and Lori know that a 34-year-old nurse, single mother with 3 kids, who works at our hospital is the first patient to get your cooling cap that y'all paid for. Like, holy shit. So we made a difference in this one lady's life right away.
Yep, that's cool.
And they buy medicines, they buy ostomy bags, they do orthopedics, they do all kind of stuff with the money, but that was a tangible return on our money. And so that's kind of what it boils down to. And the funniest part is Robbie turned me on with this dude back in 2000, 11 or 12. We were going to go crappie fishing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, stop by Twice Ice and get some ice and listen to this dude on the way here. I said, who's that? He said, man, a dude named J.J. Gray in Mofro. So all right, I listened to him. And one of his songs is a song called Lock Loosa.
That is my favorite song of JJ's.
Hands down.
Yeah.
It's my favorite song of any songs. And so Cody, you need to listen to the live version of it. It's 11 and a half minutes long, but
wow,
worth every second.
It's worth every second. Actually, you only need to listen to the first 4 minutes of it.
And you'll listen to the rest.
Yeah. So when I was working in St. Croix, I was gone for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, come home for 7-10 days. We're building a house. We're out here in the country. My wife's living in a camper. And somehow this song kind of became our anthem. It was our everything's going to be okay, our song. And we actually call our property, if you come try to check in on Facebook, it's called Lock Loosa. That's the name of the property. So we start doing this barbecue, and I'm like, man, we got to name this thing something. And so we had 25 different variations of names. I said, what about Lock Cusa? My favorite song and favorite food, barbecue and Lock Loosa. So we named it Lock Cusa and created a little logo. So we go to see J.J. Gray in Hattiesburg at the Sanger Theater, and I printed some posters up, and we bought a VIP package, and so we got to go backstage. There was 50 people, and you got like 5 minutes with J.J. Gray. Take a picture, talk to him, shake hands, talk, but whatever you want. We had him sign the Grand Champions poster last year, and it says, congratulations, J.J. Gray. Lock Cusa poster. So it's been a great experience, and we wouldn't change it for the world. Helping people. A lot of people say I'm a dickhead and I'm selfish and I don't care about other people, but they really don't realize how wrong they are. I mean, I may be an ass.
But you're my kind of asshole, so it works out.
But that's my point, you know. I mean, I don't give two shits if I drive a 2007 GMC. I don't care. But people they drive their $120,000 GMC ATX S4 Denali 35. Could be me, buddy.
That ain't what's important in life. But let me tell you what, you did get a big wake up call. Now,
yeah, huge.
Also, while we're talking about it, right now nobody's going to be able to see our face because right now they're seeing the poster for the La Cusa barbecue cook-off that's going to be taking place this October the 18th. And if you are interested in making this event, you've got a chance to meet Mike Pontius face-to-face and myself face-to-face. And whether Cody knows it or not, you're going to meet Cody and his family because they're getting armbands for the La Cusa barbecue cook-off, and we will all be down there, and probably some other faces that you've seen on this podcast you will see at this cook-off.
Hey, and I don't want to promote it just yet, Rob, but we're doing something this year. It's whether we get it sponsored or not. We're going to host a kids barbecue on Friday night. 8 teams. They're going to get to keep a Weber 22-inch kettle, and they're going to cook 3 pounds of hamburger meat, and it's going to be judged by the people that are here. And every kid gets to keep the grill, and they'll have to have a parent with them, obviously, or somebody. So we're doing a kids barbecue on Friday night for hamburgers, and then the real barbecue Friday night and Saturday. So that's something we're adding to it to try to draw some new people into the fold.
Damn, you're making me get a hotel room now.
Oh, yeah.
You're worth it. I'll be down there. I tell you what, it is a good time, Cody. Y'all gonna like it. When he kind of glossed over, they have a band. They've got an opening band and a headliner that's there. So when you go in there, you're gonna have music going. You're gonna have 10 different things of barbecue, and that armband's gonna let you go by and sample all this stuff. And you're
I love sampling.
Yeah, I mean, eating. You're going to be able to eat from all of them. But
Eat all
with
the barbecue you want, drinks, beer, $40, and music all day.
yeah, $40 for music, beer, and it's from what 11 until 5:30.
11:30 to 5:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good little day trip down to the coast, and I think you're going to like it. So
Yeah,
when
sounds good.
when Mike gets me my armbands, I'm going to bring enough over to your office, and I expect you to show. You can follow me. Well, if you follow me down, you're gonna have to get you a hotel room the night before because I'm eating some burgers with the kids on Friday night.
Hey, we are probably going to put the address on the armbands this year, Rob, because I had people say, oh, how do they know how to get there?
Yeah.
Like if a sponsor gives armbands out and they don't have a flyer, so the armbands will have either the QR code for the event or the address on them. We're not sure yet.
Hey, the QR code with it's a website that's just a poster of the event that has the address and the times.
That's probably well, it's got Venmo, the address, and the event.
So, anyway, Cody, look, I'm sorry that you came on when we were talking about this, but last episode we were going to delve into this, but sir not appearing in this podcast wasn't there last week. So, you know, Mike,
I want you to come back, Cody, because I felt like I hogged your time.
Oh no, I enjoyed it.
Oh, Cody's coming back. He's coming back. Because
I've got the app now. I'm good now.
I do want you to tell us one thing, Cody, before we get off here.
All right.
Of the wildest, because I know that you've been on NBA scenes, you've been on scenes where the woods caught fire, and you know the guy that started it, and you've been to the house fire, and you've heard the excuses. What is the strangest excuse you heard from the person that caused an event that you had to respond to? What was his story that you're like, sure, that's what happened?
Oh Lord.
Who cheating with my wife?
Yeah. My dog jumped up and knocked something off the stove.
And that set the house on fire.
Yeah, and we had, it's not a fire, but we had a call one day. A lady smelled gas in her house, and that neighborhood, there was no gas at all. And one guy, he kept sniffing around and opened her garbage can up, and there was a dead rat in there she had put in there and took her garbage out.
Whoa.
He said, "Ma'am, take your damn garbage out."
And we
that'll get rid of the gas. That'll get rid of the gas. It was gas, all right. It was gas, all right. When decomposition takes place, off-gassing is taking
over the house.
That's right.
Kids playing in the closet with lighters. It's crazy.
Hey, what about the kids that took the freaking Bic lighters upside down and see how fast they could get to the other side of the living room carpet?
Ooh, I've never seen that one.
Yes, sir.
It was a game?
Oh, yeah. So the house burned down. It didn't burn down. It caught on fire. There was 2 black streaks going through the freaking carpet with a Zippo lighter. The Bic lighter was clicking the flint and burning the carpet fibers as it got there and got to the carpet, to the curtain.
Lord,
that is crazy.
Yeah. They were like 6 or 7.
I knew a guy when I was in high school. His name was Chauvin. And he'd come over, of course, from South Louisiana. And he's back over there now. But Chauvin was, his mom called up. And they said, "What's going on?" "Oh, we're just trying to get it out right now." "Get what out?" "Never mind, we got it out." They had set their kitchen on fire. He was on the phone talking. "Oh yeah, we're just trying to get it out right now." Didn't tell her that the house was on fire.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you this little story. It's not very long. Whenever I was little, my dad, he had put some grease on the stove to get hot. I guess he was going to fry something. I must have been 4 or 5 years old. And I remember my sister was supposed to be watching it. She was in the living room watching TV, of course. And I walked around into the kitchen and looked, and I seen the flames, going up. And Daddy said he won't never forget it. I walked in there and knocked on the door and opened the door, and I said, "Daddy, the house is on fire." Just as calm as I could be, and shut the door and went back to my bedroom. And he run in there, and of course, he tried to find something, and I think he did trying to put water on it, and then he did put flour on it. But for years, until we got it painted, you could see the smut up on the ceiling where, it was just flaming. I could see it flaming up, and I was just standing there at the dining room just watching him, like nothing was ever happening. My sister, she never got up from the television.
And you wanted to be a fireman, and you didn't put the fire out.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And they didn't have fire blankets back then. It was you had to find
and collected.
Yeah, got to put that baking soda in there to get it to go out.
Yep.
Speaking of baking soda, hold on real quick. Did you know that if you take a cup and a half of water and a quarter cup of baking soda, stir it up and pour it into your pot with hot grease in it, it will not flame up, splatter, or nothing. It'll absorb all the freaking crumbs, and you'll have clean grapes.
Clean it up.
Really?
I saw a video on it the other day, and I started to do it when I fried the catfish, but I was scared shitless.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna put baking soda in my fish fry.
Well, no, it's not in the fish fry. It's in the oil you cooked in. All the stuff.
That's my fish fry. I've got a Cajun cooker. All that bread that falls off in that Cajun cooker goes down to the bottom where it stays cool. It doesn't burn.
He's got that fancy stuff.
Oh, look at that! You're looking mighty good there, Hannibal Lecter.
Hey, I'm gonna go see my wife in a minute. Woo-hoo!
I'm gonna have some kidney beans or fava beans.
No,
in a nice Chianti.
I'm walking there going, "Hello, I come to get you."
Hey, folks, we appreciate y'all showing up for another episode of Getting 10-8. If y'all made it this far into the episode, God bless you. Good Lord, we went all over the place tonight, and that's perfectly fine. Look, if you've got an idea, you want to hear us talk about something specific, you can email us at gettin108@gmail.com. And hey, Mike, look, it's going to end up right there on the screen. They can email us at gettin108@gmail.com.
And that's Z with a zebra, not G with a.
That's right. Don't confuse everybody.
It's Z mail.
Don't confuse them. It's right there. Y'all just look down here at the bottom of the screen. It's right down there. You'll see.
Why did you not do Yahoo or Gmail?
Because I went with Zmail.
Just being Robbie.
Just being Robbie.
Hey, I'm 1024, 107.
Have a good one. We'll catch you next time. It's about time for me to get 10-10 myself. How about you, Cody?
Yeah.
All right, folks. Come back and see us again. Y'all take care.
Later.
Bye-bye.
That was good. Good show.